What's up guys? Before you put in your order for the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, or even iPhone 10, there's actually a lot in this video you'll learn about these devices, stuff that Apple didn't really even talk about at their event, and it'll answer any questions you may have about using the device, buying it, and many hardware questions. It's always interesting to see the next day after Apple announces something how the media tears apart the new product. No matter how impressive it is, no matter how much work, how many years of work Apple has put into this product, they'll always focus on that one thing. In this case, during the demo, if you guys remember, Apple had some sort of issue where the first unit didn't unlock. The truth is, it was a planning error. Much like when you wake up and your Touch ID cannot be used, the phone simply got locked out of the Face ID feature. That's not to say that Face ID didn't work. I saw a lot of people tagging onto this instantly saying, Face ID is unreliable. That's not true. And this ties in with the Twitter makeup panic, where a lot of users went on Twitter to voice their concerns, asking whether or not the Face ID feature will work with makeup on their face or after removing it. A lot of developers did reassure us that that's not how the Face ID feature works. It doesn't scan color, it scans for facial features and actual 3D modeling, so don't even worry about that. We did also just learn that Face ID will only work with one face, so if you like sharing your phone with somebody sharing the access via Touch ID, you can no longer do that using the Face ID function, which may be a drawback for some. Also, cool little tidbit, the Face ID logo shares reference with the first Mac Face logo. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Now, I totally see why Apple skipped over the fast charge feature at their keynote, made no mention of it at all. That's because you won't be able to do it out of the box immediately. You'll have to buy a separate power adapter. Which one though? Apple doesn't specify. They range from $49 to $79. Can you imagine spending that much on an adapter just to fast charge your phone? That's ridiculous. Not to mention that you'll have to buy an additional cable just to use that fast charging brick, because the one that comes in the box is USB-A to Lightning and you need a USB-C to Lightning. That also means you won't even be able to use your brand new iPhone with your MacBook Pro natively without having to use an adapter. That is a serious oversight. And all of this year's iPhone models are thicker than last year's. The iPhone 8 Plus is 0.2 millimeters thicker than the 7 Plus, and the iPhone 8 is 0.2 millimeters thicker than the iPhone 7. Now, it's not known if this is to accommodate extra battery as a result of the glass casing, but just so you know, they are thicker. But don't worry, because they will fit all of your existing iPhone 7 and 7 Plus cases. Apple makes direct reference to their cases that they will fit both the 7 and 8 model series. Now, for those of you that found reachability a very useful software tweak, it has been unfortunately removed for the iPhone 10. That means navigating that display with one hand has become that much more difficult. And to make things worse, just to get into the notification center, you have to go all the way to the top left of the sensor bar, and to get to the control center, it's on the top right. So one-handed operation has become more difficult. That left and right orientation open up the notification center, and the control center exists in landscape as well. So swipe down on the left for the cover sheet notification center, and on the right to get into the control center if you happen to be in landscape. Now, if you're someone that likes the anxiety behind monitoring the battery percentage on your iPhone, you won't be able to do that on the iPhone 10. Because of the limited space in the status bar, that's actually only going to be present in the control center. And I bet you guys didn't know this, what the actual sensor bar is called, how it's named by Apple. Sensor housing. Not quite as nice as the top notch. And believe it or not, Apple is holding their ground on embracing the sensor housing. In the guidelines for developing on the iPhone 10, they make that very clear. And developers do agree that there are a lot of missing iPhone 10 features in the current iOS 11 GM firmware, so they're saying iOS 11.1 or 11.2 is more likely for a final release build on the iPhone 10. Now, if you currently use an iPhone Plus series, carefully consider your options, as your content will appear cropped on the iPhone 10 screen size. In this comparison by Steve TS, he shows us just what that could look like. Although the screen is taller, it does shrink in terms of width. That means a lot of your content will shrink as well. It won't really quite be as grand of an experience, and that's actually limited in many areas as well, such as Safari. In Safari, look at this view. I mean, the sides are going to be cropped. You get this white bar on both sides of your content in Safari. It looks pretty terrible for an experience like that. Not to mention that you don't get the tabs as well in Safari. So if you got used to those in landscape, you won't be seeing them on the iPhone 10 either, unfortunately, as those have been removed due to the vertical constraints in landscape mode. And this is definitely a good thing to know before buying. The iPhone 10 is truly the world's most powerful, strongest smartphone ever. Look at that multi-core score. That is simply insane. It's matching a lot of processors right now. Even the entry-level MacBook Pro has a lower score. I can't believe that. And this year's iPhone lineup will support FLAC audio codec, so it's a step up from MP3 in terms of quality. You used to need an app to run that format on your iPhone. Now it's supported natively. And just like last year's iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, be careful which model you buy, as not all of them are created equally. Some of them do not have CDMA radios like from AT&T and T-Mobile. And just like rumored, Face ID has some cool stuff that Apple didn't really mention in the keynote. So actual locked notifications, as soon as you look at your phone, will become unlocked. Your screen will stay on when your phone notices you're looking at it, and it will mute notifications when it notices you're looking at it too. And Apple didn't really touch on this, and I'm sure many of you guys have this question before buying your phone. How will the home indicator work? The bottom bar. It will actually get hidden when certain applications require it, so that is a possibility, and it will have a lockout feature. So if you're worried about scrolling in Safari, you can actually scroll twice up on the home bar and it will appear. It is also capable of adapting and changing colors depending on the content beneath it. That's a really cool feature Apple certainly didn't tell us about. And actually using Siri on the iPhone 10 will hide the home indicator as soon as she becomes activated. Just one of those cool little touches. Now, how will notifications work? Developer Rambo shows us in a simulator they'll work just like before, but they will be cropped by the sensor cutouts. Then when you drag them down, they'll work like usual. You can go all the way down to dismiss. Now, how will screenshots work without a home button? Volume up plus power button, as simple as that. So things are changing with the buttons as well. I don't even know what to call the button on the side. It's no longer a power button. Is it the new home button? And what's cool about screenshots is that they will not appear cropped after you take them. That way things aren't looking weird. It'll be a complete rectangle like usual. And something in the keynote that Apple didn't address is cropped video. During their demo, they actually did several playbacks of video, and it bothered me because the sensor cutouts cropped your content, literally just covered a section of your video, which was kind of annoying. So the way that it'll actually work is by default, video will play in 16:9 aspect ratio, which is normal. And then if you want to zoom in, you can go ahead and do that by double tapping or just zooming in with the pinch gesture, and it'll go full screen with that cropped mode that I don't like because it actually crops my content, not only on the corners with the rounded corners, but in the sensor cutouts as well. There's also the same mode or the same function for portrait video. So if you're watching a video in portrait, you can zoom in by double tapping all the way and getting a cropped image. And for a while, just like updating to the iPhone 5 from the 4S, a lot of your old existing apps will not be updated. Until they are, how are they going to look? And they're going to be a little bit cropped. So on the top, you're going to get a black bar, and on the bottom, it won't look too terrible, but it definitely won't look updated. It'll look a little bit off, and I'm sure app developers will get on that ASAP. And I also wanted to mention Bluetooth 5.0, the first ever on an iPhone, and Apple barely made any mention of it. It's actually a fantastic upgrade because Bluetooth 5.0 is more efficient. It actually reaches out further and allows more data to be transmitted through it. So you're going to be seeing a lot of support for third-party accessories that actually take advantage of this, and you might even be able to use split audio, so share the same stream with multiple sources. And something I'm definitely not a fan of, Apple Care. The prices for it have been increased on the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and iPhone 10. So on the iPhone 10, the increase is $50. On the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, that's $20. I guess it makes sense. It's a more expensive iPhone, so Apple Care should be more expensive. It's sort of an insurance for your phone, but still, that kind of sucks for something like this. And believe it or not, here in America, the price of your iPhone 10 fully loaded with Apple Care and tax may crest $1,500. That's just insane to think about spending that much on an iPhone, but it could definitely rack up to that much. And why is the price between a 64 and 256 gigabyte iPhone 10 $150 instead of the standard $100? Well, same thing for the iPads. Apple just increased the price of those by $50 for the higher end storage models. That's because NAND flash storage right now is at a shortage. That means the prices have gone up as a result. Now, if you think the prices here in America are insane, be glad you aren't living in Europe. Look at these prices with the currency conversion done on them. That is simply insane. Their taxes kill them, the import fees. You get up to $1,700 in Hungary. That's just insane. And if you're pre-ordering an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus, know that the most exclusive unicorn color will be the new gold color. It definitely looks like something a little bit unique. It's got a hint of blush gold in it, the rumored name. It definitely looks good, so that one will be the hardest to get. Keep that in mind when ordering this weekend. And just want to share some secrets about pre-ordering if you don't know about these already. How do you ensure that you can get an iPhone on the launch day? Well, you want to use the official Apple Store app, and the day before the device goes on pre-order, so in this case on Thursday, go ahead and save that device to your cart. With AppleCare or without, doesn't matter. The day that they actually come out, you'll have it in your cart ready to go right away. So there it is, guys. Hopefully you learned a thing or two from this list. Definitely a lot of stuff in here that hasn't been made conventional knowledge. Good luck with your pre-orders, guys, and your choice in general. Peace.